Hello, and welcome to No Expectations Video Store Podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm James. And that's Kim up there. She is taking over for Max for right now. She's our little switcher.
Shout out to Kim.
And today we are reviewing or talking about the new 2024 film, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. This stars Michael Keaton, Jenna Ortega, Winona Ryder, Justin Theroux, and Catherine O'Hara. And I believe this was directed, I know, by Tim Burton.
The great Tim Burton. It was also written by quite a few peeps. Alfred Goff, Miles Millar, and the story was by Seth Graham Smith, and characters created by Michael McDowell and Larry Wilson. So shout out to those boys. They did a great job. And I'm just going to say it, man. This was one of my favorite movies so far of 2024.
Yeah, I will have to agree with you. I mean, this is up there with, I think Twisters was really good for this year as well. Can't really think of any other movie. Beetlejuice is just, it was probably the top movie up there. I think probably Beetlejuice, then maybe Twisters. I know we talked about this before on the podcast of this film. At least I did. I was excited for it. I know Tim Burton was really stoked about making this movie, the practical effects for this film, and dude, he delivered. I believe he delivered.
I'm going to say this is my number one for 2024 so far, unless we get some bangers, in October, November, December. Okay. But this one I liked more than Twisters. I definitely liked more than The Watchers. And but kind of like we were talking about before the podcast this was a year, and I did a review on Instagram, on Unfazed Reviews Instagram, but I want to dive a little deeper into it here. But I was saying that this was a year that was very weak cinematically. We got just kind of meh movies, with the exception of this and Twister. Mm-hmm. A lot of the Twisters, sorry. A lot of the movies are just kind of weak and forgettable, and it's just nothing but sequels, nothing but remakes, nothing but prequels. And this is a sequel, but this is a sequel that's done well.
Yes, very well.
And what I can say is, so far, this year, all of my favorite memories of going to the movies have been movies that are 20, 25 plus years old. It's they brought back The Mummy. That was the best. They brought back the original Spidey with Tobey, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. They brought back The Phantom Menace. And it's it's awesome seeing those.
And the original Twister.
And the original Twister, which was a blast to see. Side note, I saw the original Twister in the XL Theater at Harkins, which is kind of their version of Dolby.
Yeah, I think they're Cine Capri, right?
It. Yeah, it's their Cine Capri. Okay. And absolutely loved it. Just what a great movie. And I hadn't seen the original Twister since I was probably 7 or 8 years old. Whoa. So it was just a treat, man, on the big screen. It was so awesome. The opening of it just blew me away, no pun intended. Much like Helen Hunt's father. Blew him away. Spoiler alert. But just what a masterpiece. And in my opinion, the original Twisters doesn't even come close, although it was a good movie. But the original Twister, masterpiece.
Yeah.
But that being said, everything that I saw was 25-year anniversary or older movies. And I was just man, this year sucks for movies. What do we have? And then I went in with, sort of no expectations, but a little bit of expectations for Beetlejuice. And I was blown away, man. I bought the ticket, I took the ride, and I was just so happy with it. It was just so much fun. It was so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I fully took the ride, man. I was laughing way more than I thought I would. I was fully absorbed into the world of Tim Burton. It's I was so happy to see Michael Keaton come back. And we were talking about, for a 73-year-old man, knocks it out of the park.
It's crazy that he's 73.
He's so youthful, and it's so I think crazy. With the makeup on and really fully getting back into the character of Beetlejuice, he just knocks it out of the park, dude.
Yeah, he's so good. He literally timed in and passed. I feel he was in the character right away. He was Beetlejuice.
It was 1988 again.
Yeah, we said Beetlejuice probably more than 3 times right now. Earlier we actually earlier we tried to record and the light actually turned off, so we had to reshoot.
Yeah, you might notice a little more shadow on James right now, but that's because the lights went out as soon as you said it 3 times.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Really crazy. I know we could, funny.
Yeah, we conjured him.
Yeah.
But, nothing but glowing review for this movie. Nothing but great things to say. Mm-hmm. The cast. Let's kick it off with that cast. At first, kind of like you said, I thought Jenna Ortega was going to be just shoved in there because she's so popular, kind of like how they do with Zendaya and people like that. But I had never really given her a chance.
Yeah, I think. Oh, so sorry.
No, you're fine.
I think Jenna Ortega, I get kind of sick of her, maybe being in a lot of movies and stuff. But honestly, she fits this world. She fits Tim Burton's world. She did awesome. She's also in Wednesday as well. She does great as Wednesday. But she killed. Fits the Tim Burton world, and I think she did an awesome job being
100%.
What was her?
Astrid
Dietz, yeah.
And my thing is, I kind of the same thing. It's I kind of misjudged her because I thought, well, she's so popular, they're just shoving her in anything.
Yeah.
And I thought I wouldn't like her. soon as I saw her, she won me over in probably 10 minutes. I was like, you know what? She's perfect for this. So she was really good.
She's good.
So, I mean, we could just dive into the cast. Like, Michael Keaton killed it. Jenna Ortega did a very good job. Catherine O'Hara, man, she like stole the show. Like, she was so good.
She looks still good. Like, for her age, she looks great. Like, even Michael Keaton too. Like, they all look really good.
She's a timeless actress.
What I got like a little Beetlejuice sitting here too as well. So yeah, I got a couple Beetlejuices I think right in this room.
You know who was a surprise in that? Justin Theroux. Did I say it right? Theroux. He was funny as hell.
He was fun. Dude, like, I think we spoke about this earlier, was the fact, like, what's great about this movie is...
Catherine O'Hara is 70.
70, wow.
She looks great.
What's great about this movie is, like, we get to see the underworld a little bit more deeper compared to the first film.
Move your mic up a little bit.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, but we get to see the movie, the underworld a little bit more, like, deeper in this one compared to the first movie. We actually get to see the other side of, like, where Beetlejuice lives. I mean, we got a little taste of it in the, just Beetlejuice, but this one was like, man, we got to see, like, the Soul Train. We got to see, like, the waiting room.
Soul Train is funny.
The waiting room a little bit more. It was cool. We get to see, like, I don't know, like the cameos in there too, as the for the dead.
So good.
Danny DeVito was great to see in there.
Yep.
Not a spoiler, he was in the trailer. Okay, he was there. But yeah, it was so cool. Like, this film was it was fantastic, and even like, I mean, you gotta think how iconic this movie is too, with like the merchandise they come out
iconic.
with. Still for Halloween, people dress up as him.
Oh yeah.
They released
oh dude,
popcorn bucket for it too.
Show it off.
Recently deceased. You know what you can do with this?
You can eat popcorn out of it.
You can put your weed in it.
You put your weed in it.
Put your weed in it.
Your weed in it.
You put your weed in there.
It's actually kind of hard to open, but yeah.
That
opens up right here.
I will say, out of all the popcorn buckets, so far my favorite has been the Batman popcorn bucket.
Right here.
And then second has to be this one. And this thing's actually made of metal. Look, let's do a little ASMR. Hey. The Handbook for the Recently Deceased. A must-have for any book collection if you're dead.
Yeah, and they came out with, I think, like 4 or 5 different popcorn buckets. And I think this was probably, my opinion, number one.
It's so good, yeah.
I know they came out with like a little Jack-in-a-Box one with like a little Beetlejuice character on top of it, but it has nothing to do in the movie. You don't see that at all in the movie.
Yeah.
They came out with...
Is the one from the first one with his like stretch out hands and the crazy thing on his head?
No, you would think they would have done that. That would have been a good idea. Cool, no, it was just literally like a box, and it was just like his colors and just like basically this guy on top of it, like literally like a little Beetlejuice guy on top of it.
Interesting.
And then the other one,
the marketing was brilliant for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one they had was the worms, like the little snake dune worm things.
I got worms.
They got that one. A lot of people like that one. Probably for number one, but I think this one's the coolest one because it referenced the first movie as well. I think it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of merchandise.
I got to say shout out to our friend Larry Bartels, who hopefully will come on the podcast one of these days. He is a friend of Unfazed, and he worked on Near Dark and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and some other projects. And I actually ran into him at the Gathering of the Ghouls, which is hosted by Terror Trader. And we were there. We met the Grim Life Collective. We saw some cool YouTubers and stuff when we were there. And Larry and his wife, they entered a competition for tickets to see Beetlejuice, and since I was there with him, he was kind enough to invite me. He had an extra ticket, and so I went with Larry and we watched it, and it was a blast. So we'll have to have Larry on the pod one of these days. Good guy. But shout out to Larry. But yeah, it was super fun.
Hi, Larry.
Super fun, man. And I was a little nervous going in because sometimes when you do sequels like this, they can get screwed up really easily.
Yeah.
But Tim Burton delivered, man. It's like everything was perfect. I mean, it's like, I know it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty damn close.
Yeah, I said
they did a really good job.
I think I said 90% of this movie was like spot on. Like, it was good.
Yeah.
I liked the first 2 acts. I think the third act was a little weak. I think they had a hard time trying to end this movie. I will say, I don't think I like Willem Dafoe's character. Who was the other
Monica
girl?
Bellucci.
Monica Bellucci.
Yeah, I love Monica Bellucci.
I don't think she was necessary. I
could see that.
I think you could have done the movie a little bit different. I don't want to spoil the movie, but let's just say there was another villain in this movie. And I feel like they should have focused on that person a little bit more. Instead of they just kind of killed that person off really too quick. They didn't explore it.
Yeah.
And Monica Bellucci's character, she was cool. Like her like being introduced in the movie was like, it was really cool. And we actually got to see a backstory of Beetlejuice, which was fine to see.
Yeah, it was
but
fun.
I felt like you could have done that movie without her.
Yeah, I could see that. She wasn't totally necessary, but I still liked seeing her. I think she'll be a good cosplay for some girls and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
She was cool, But what do you think, Kim?
So what I thought about the movie, I thought it was really, really great. I loved seeing the world of Beetlejuice. That was my
amazing.
favorite thing.
Yeah.
Being immersed in that world. I like that we got to see it a lot more over here. I laughed throughout 80% of the entire movie.
It was hilarious.
I thought it was so funny. I thought that the way that they brought in, I don't want to say spoilers, but there was something that happened, a plot twist in there that I kind of called at the beginning just because like I felt it when I saw who I'm talking about. When I saw him, I just knew. It was a really
Exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
it was a really great way. I like you guys said about Jenna Ortega. She just fits in Tim Burton's world,
She does.
and I think that she might do more Tim Burton movies.
I think so.
We'll see if they could possibly do some kind of Edward Scissorhands type of thing. I'm not sure, but I think that she said she doesn't
Sacred
want to.
territory. We got to be careful.
She
with
doesn't
that.
want to gender swap anything. So
Well, yeah, I hope. Yeah.
so I don't know if that'll happen, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see what she does with Tim Burton. in the
I think
future.
she'll be like the Winona Ryder route with
I can
like
see that.
because she did do Edward Scissorhands as well. Winona Ryder did with
Oh, that's
it,
right.
yeah.
She did. I
He
almost
was his
forgot
love
about
interest.
that.
Yeah.
God, I love that
Yeah,
movie.
it's a
Man.
good movie. Kim hasn't seen it. She still needs to
have
watch it.
Oh my
I
god.
went halfway through.
You're gonna thoroughly
we're really
enjoy it.
close.
You're gonna
Vincent
thoroughly
Price's
enjoy it.
last movie.
Shout out to Vincent Price, man. We love Vincent Price.
Yep.
We need to do a good classic Vincent Price movie one of these days. We need to do like House of Wax or something like
Yeah,
that.
I agree. Dude, I almost bought like an entire collection. I saw it. I think it was on like Prime Day.
Price.
And I was like, oh, this close to getting it.
So good, so good, man. But anyway, heck yeah, I agree, Kim. Just absolutely a blast, and I'm sure she will continue with Tim Burton.
And I also agree with James that the last act, I do feel like it was so rushed. If they just focused on one villain, I think it would have been like a perfect 5 out of 5 movie.
Yeah.
But it was a little rushed towards the end, and I feel like there was a certain scene, like a music scene, that just went way too long.
I
That's
kind
my
of felt that too. It didn't feel totally necessary, the musical part. But that being said, still highly, highly enjoyable. And there's two things I want to touch on before I forget. I want to touch on the acknowledgement of Jeffrey Jones, who played, was it Richard Dietz? Let me double check.
Lydia's dad, let's just say that.
Mr. Rooney, Jeffrey Jones. They did that very tastefully.
They did a great job with it. I love what they did.
Yes. And if you guys don't mind, we'll say, I'll just so you're not mad at me, spoiler alert, slightly, spoiler alert. They did this claymated version of Jeffrey Jones' character on a plane, so he's still in there, he's still acknowledged without actually using the actor, because you guys can look it up for yourself. But Jeffrey Jones in his personal life did some bad things, got in trouble with the law, and obviously was blacklisted from Hollywood, and he did some bad things. We'll leave it at that. But he obviously was no longer a part of this movie, but it's so cool that they still kept the character in the story, and were able to like very expertly acknowledge it and very carefully do it where it still worked. So they had, spoiler alert, him come back in claymated form. It looked like claymation. It might have been CGI, but it looked like claymation.
It looked like claymation.
It looked like Frankenweenie style.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. And it's heavy spoiler alert, it's him getting eaten by a shark. And then as you see him throughout the movie, he's like another actor with his head essentially
just
bitten off by a shark.
Yeah.
So freaking brilliant, man. It's like such a cool way to do it. And it's really refreshing that they didn't just completely erase his character. Like so many other people would be afraid to even acknowledge him. But Tim Burton, it's like probably had a great working relationship with the guy and wanted to acknowledge the character still. And it's like he did it in such a good way. I think it was so smart.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was very tasteful.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
And then second thing I'd like to acknowledge before I forget is I feel like Tim Burton's back, baby.
Dude, oh, absolutely.
And I think with his age, it's like he still probably has quite a few more decades of films in him.
He just got his Hollywood star recently.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Well deserved. Love Tim Burton. But I hope working with Michael Keaton and doing this really kind of like gets his appetite going again for like consistently making projects like he did in like the 90s, 80s, and like early 2000s.
Yeah, like I said like multiple times before, it's just like this was the movie that got his like love back for filmmaking.
It seemed like it.
Yeah, and you can literally tell with that movie, like, oh my gosh, like this is like an old Tim Burton movie, and I'm so happy, I'm so for it, and I'm hoping the next projects are gonna look very similar like this. Like, I'm excited,
and I'm hoping and praying, and fingers are crossed that there's not as big a gaps between his projects, because he never retired or anything like that, but there just were noticeable gaps in his work where it was like, I understand the guy's probably enjoying his time, it's like he's got plenty of money, it's like, let him do whatever he wants, right? He doesn't owe us anything at this point, but it's just, as a fan, you want more. You're like, you know what, and obviously he loves it, so it's like, hopefully with the success of Beetlejuice and rekindling his collaborations with Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara and Michael Keaton, that he'll get hungry for it again, and maybe we'll get a whole bunch more Tim Burton movies. I would love to see, like, can you imagine getting like another like 10 Tim Burton movies? Like, awesome. It's possible. Look at Clint Eastwood. Tim Burton's not anywhere near as old as Clint Eastwood, but I'm saying it's like he's, Tim Burton's probably like what, 60 something?
Yeah.
And it's like he's still a young filmmaker in terms of directors, especially in a world where we have Martin Scorsese still going strong. We have Francis Ford Coppola coming out with a new movie.
Yeah.
We have Clint Eastwood with one more in the chamber coming out. And it's just like, Spielberg still works on stuff. So it's like Tim Burton very easily potentially could go for another 30 years. You know what I mean? So which I hope, because I love him and I think he's one of the best. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but I'm just so glad we got this. And like I said, it's not perfect, but it's damn near close.
It's very near.
And it's one of those that I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to revisit, at least biannually, but maybe even annually. I don't know. It was fun.
Oh, this is a purchase. Like, I'm buying.
For sure.
I'm buying this one. I mean, I already have the first one on Steelbook. I'm probably gonna get this one on Steelbook 4K as well. Like, I
absolutely love it.
This one's to own. Like, buy it when it comes out, guys. Go ahead and watch 100%. It, see it.
And I was talking to a few friends who were hesitant about seeing it because they really enjoyed the first one, but then they thought, well, maybe we'll wait and we'll stream it or whatever. I was like, no, go watch it. I was like, you like the first one? They're like, yeah, well, we just don't know if it's going to be any good. I was like, bro, go watch it.
Yeah,
like,
you need to watch
this one's if you like the first one, I think you'll thoroughly enjoy
this one's definitely theater worthy. Like, you need to go to the movies, buy your ticket, get your popcorn bucket, and
buy the ticket, take the ride,
and watch this with your friends. You're gonna have a fun time with this film.
And one thing I can say too, like Kim touched on, it was way funnier than I expected.
Yeah,
like it takes. I mean, it's like, not to sound like an asshole, but like it sometimes it takes a lot to make me laugh in a movie. You know what I mean? It's like I'll crack up on a podcast with us, but it's like, you guys get my humor, and it's like, sometimes with a movie, sometimes it's tough. Even watching newer stand-up comedians, sometimes it takes a lot to really get me to laugh. But this one had me chuckling like almost immediately, and it just felt so good. And it was like one of the first times in a long time I've been to a new movie and felt kind of that whimsical feeling of like seeing a movie as a little kid.
Yeah,
where I was like sitting there and I was like eating my M&Ms, and I'm like, dude, this is what it's all about. Yeah. This is cinema,
I have to say the side characters in this one were just so good, especially those guys with the dehydrated heads, Bob.
Yes.
I think.
Bob.
Oh my gosh, they cracked me up. They're my favorite characters.
I agree. Yeah, they were hilarious.
Oh, I do want to say this too. I don't know about your theater.
Sure.
Our theater was packed.
Mine too,
dude. It was like refreshing. I was like, wow.
AMC Desert Ridge.
Yeah, AMC Deer Valley, the one we usually typically go to. Okay. But yeah. Dude,
it was busy.
It was really busy. I was surprised. I was like, to even get oh, by the way, I got the last one.
Good job.
Literally got the last one in line. No, there was a long ass line, like, to just even get concessions. Like, I don't think a lot of people were buying the popcorn bucket, but a lot of people were just getting food. And dude, that line was massive.
It was busy.
Yeah, very busy.
We saw it opening night.
Yeah, opening.
Yeah. So I mean, it's nice to see. It's nice to see something that's actually worthy of a crowd on its opening weekend.
And I think it did really well in the box office. I think it did. Yeah.
I would say with the, albeit they are sequels, but with the advent of Twisters and Beetlejuice, it's like I feel like summer movies were back this year. You know what I mean? And it's like, sure, a lot of them sucked. Most of the movies this year were pieces of shit, but with the exception of those two, made it worth
I feel like, those two really made, like you said, made it worth it for the I guess just for the summer. Yeah.
I would say so. And I'm curious to see what happens. It's like, we've still got a new Terrifier coming out. We've got more stuff happening. Everything's a sequel, but that's fine. We'll take what we can get.
Transformers as well.
I don't care about that.
For the kids.
The kids, whatever. But they can go see Beetlejuice again. But I loved it, man. And one thing I do want to say too, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but the in my opinion, perfect blend of CGI and practical effects.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I felt like there was a more practical than CGI in
It
this
felt
film.
that way.
It felt like a lot more practical.
It felt
and
that
we talk about practical effects a lot. That's like our favorite, like, I guess, word in our,
It's the best.
but we love those special effects. Like that, you put so much work into that as just filmmakers to make something, make a set, make like a puppet, make just a costume. It's a whole thing, dude. It's awesome. It's like, it's creative. Like, I love seeing that in film.
And there's so many people behind the scenes. It's like, I know, Tim Burton is the driving force behind it, but you got to figure there's so many people behind the scenes that bring this movie to life, that bring that aesthetic to life, that make the underworld, a reality, and make all the, the hair and makeup and the sets and the props and just everything is just, I mean, there's a whole army of people working on it. And it's like, all those people deserve a thumbs up, and they deserve the appreciation and the credit.
This better be nominated for an Oscar for, like, I guess, special effects. It needs to be in there. Yeah,
I hope so, because everything was perfect. The CGI that was used sparingly, keyword sparingly, the beautiful practical effects, the beautiful makeup, the fantastic elaborate sets, the little models that they used, like everything was so damn good. And of course, shout out to Danny Elfman for amazing music.
He came back. I saw that. Yeah, that's cool.
And Danny Elfman, man, responsible for so many great scores. I mean, so many. And Oingo Boingo, tremendous. But you know his band, Oingo Boingo?
I don't. It's just a fun name.
The song Dead Man's Party. It's a dead man's party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was his band before he got into doing.
Oh wait, yeah, I think okay, yeah, okay.
Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about this movie, man. I truly loved it, and I'm going to do my star rating. Like I said, it wasn't perfect, but it was damn close. It was damn close, and it was, in my opinion, so far, the best film of 2020-24. So this is a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I love the cast. I love the director. I love the effort and heart that they put into it. So 4 out of 5, Beetlejuice. Go see it.
I have to agree. I do want to. I'm so close to giving it a 4.5. But I'm gonna stick with the 4. I think it's just a great film. Tim Burton's really back in this movie. Cast was great. Special effects, everything about this movie was just a really terrific, fun movie.
Writers did a pretty good job.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. Geez, man, there's nothing really bad I can really say about this film besides just like I said, that one little 10% of that ending.
A few little,
but it's not. It's honestly not the worst ending. It's just like. It's not a bad movie. Like I want to own this. I want to watch this again. I recommended this movie to friends, family, everyone who, like, you guys, man, go and watch this movie.
Absolutely. You want to do your star rating as well, Kim?
Yeah, sure. I rate it the same as you guys, as a 4 out of 5, because that small little part I do want to change. It is so close to perfect that I want to give it a 4.5 so badly, but a 4 out of 5 is probably the best rating I could give.
Yeah, it feels right. I say we do a little bit of trivia. We do just a little bit of trivia. I'll read a couple and I'll pass it off to you.
Got it.
So Tim Burton has said that this film would only be made if Michael Keaton would return to reprise his role. Keaton said in March of 2014 that this is the only sequel he's interested in doing, obviously aside from another Batman, right? Winona Ryder had one condition when she first met Stranger Things creator Matt and Ross Duffer for a role they wanted her to play on Netflix. If Beetlejuice 2 ever got off the ground, they'd have to let her take a break from the series to film it, and they agreed.
Nice.
Take it away, buddy. But yeah, such a good movie, man.
You read did you scroll down already? Okay, I see. Okay, Michael Keaton said he and Tim Burton were particularly interested in doing a film that wasn't too technology heavy. They wanted to have the same practical effects of the original, which they did, like we spoke of.
Great job, yeah.
Tim Burton stated he was done making movies until he directed the first 4 episodes of Netflix hit Wednesday, which prompted him to reassess the original Beetlejuice and its potential for a sequel. That's something I didn't know. That's kind of cool. Like, I didn't know he was done directing. I didn't know that.
Thank God.
Or he felt like he was.
Thank
done.
God he's back. Like I said, I think he's got quite a few more in him. I hope.
And Gina Davis confirmed she does not appear in Beetlejuice during an interview with E.T. No, I'm not. I'm not in the remake. Oh, you were expecting that I would be? This is from her. Yeah, no, you know what? Because my theory is the ghosts don't age, not that I have. Which we should talk about that briefly. Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis's characters are not in the film. They actually reference, after a while, they
reference them.
Yeah, they do reference them, but they were able to, I guess, move on.
Yeah.
Which I think that
it was beautiful.
That's perfect. It's beautiful for them. Like,
they're not stuck in limbo.
Yeah, limbo.
But and also Alec Baldwin. Whatever happened to that guy? I'm just kidding.
No.
Sorry.
Come on.
He's suffering enough. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll do one more. The model town has a car upside down in the water below the Winter River Bridge, representing the crash that killed Adam and Barbara in the first movie.
Clever.
Also, this is just a fact on top of my head. They rebuilt the entire house. Like, that doesn't exist from the first movie. Like, they completely rebuilt that and put it on the hill.
I always thought the house looked a lot like the Psycho house.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
I'm going to read one more just because it's fun and it's really short. It's one sentence. It says, Michael Keaton said making the sequel was more fun than the original.
Really?
It was a real blast. But yeah, super fun. And you can tell. It translates into the movie, definitely. I'm sure. Dude, you know what I would love to see on that? The gag reel.
Oh, absolutely. They've been doing it a lot lately with certain movies. Like, they've been putting bloopers at the end of credits again.
Bring it back, baby.
I think they should bring it back in like all the films. I think they're fantastic. They did it with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Fantastic. I think
they did it. They did it with the movie. It's not the greatest movie. I just watched it the other night. It was Jackpot. But they put the bloopers in there, which was fun to see the cast having fun and everything.
That's something that was like a big thing in the 90s and 2000s.
Well, yeah, think of like Rush Hour. Like, dude, I love seeing the bloopers at the end of those. American Pie. Well,
one of Toy Story. One of the greatest tragedies of our time comedically is I was listening to Fly on the Wall podcast. Shout out to David Spade and Dana Carvey. But Spade was saying that Sandler was always really against doing gag reels. He said because everyone else was doing it at the time. So he said, David Spade said there would just be these golden bloopers from like Grown Ups and from like anything, you know, The Do-Over or anything that they worked on together. He said even earlier stuff that Sandler would do without David Spade, you know, like Big Daddy and stuff. He said there were just these like incredible gag reels that they just like, nope, not going to include them.
Wow.
And he said like that was like one of the big, and he said he's like told Sandler so many times to like put the bloopers out and
at least put it like, are they maybe in the DVDs, special features, Blu-ray? Nothing.
He wouldn't put them on the DVDs.
Damn.
Doesn't that suck? Like, what a loss.
I love Sandler, but come on, man.
I love Sandler, and I feel like of all people, like we're huge Sandler fans. I love him, I respect him, but bro, put out the bloopers.
Yeah.
Put out the bloopers, especially stuff from Grown Ups and stuff. Oh my god.
My favorite gag reels that I used to love was the Pixar gag reels because there's one with James Earl Jones doing Mufasa like
so good.
There's a sound down there in the throat somewhere. I just don't know how to reach it.
Those were my favorites.
Oh, I remember
Toy
that
Story.
one.
Yeah. They had a Bug's Life, Toy Story. They had Lion King, and yeah.
Remember the old men playing chess at the beginning of Bug's Life?
I do remember that.
That was the best. Or I think it was one guy playing by himself.
I think that was a Pixar short, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they didn't do a Pixar short in the last Disney movie, last Pixar movie.
Those cheap bastards.
Yeah.
Those cheap bastards. So, you know, we had talked about this. We did not do an alternate casting for this episode because I think it didn't even cross my mind. It was hard enough doing one for The Crow.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
You know, I can't think of anyone doing it. Like, if someone was like, hey, we have to do this, like, or we're going to push you off a cliff, I'd be like, okay, well, let's think. It's really tough. I would just have to go the straight up stand up comedian route. I was saying Joe List, who's one of my favorite comedians. If you don't know him, look him up. Freaking hilarious. And he also does a fair bit of acting. I think Joe List would be a very unique choice. You may agree with me or disagree with me. I know Kim had mentioned, who did you say? For Beetlejuice?
I thought that Pete Davidson might be a good Beetlejuice because of the big old goofy smile. I don't know. I thought that would be great. And I thought personally he was funny, but that's just me.
I feel you. But James, did anyone come to mind for you?
No, I didn't even think of anyone. It's really hard. I can't.
It's crazy.
I'm like trying to think of right now for anyone, but no, I think who can replace Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice?
I know.
It's very difficult. Like, I think, like you said, it would have to be a comedian or something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
somebody that's totally not associated with it.
I mean, Michael Keaton was originally a comedian, so.
And for anyone who's going to jump on me in the comments, I don't want that. I don't want to recast Beetlejuice.
Yeah, we don't want to recast.
This is just something we do on every episode. But it's like, if you had to pick, if it were an alternate timeline and these people didn't exist or weren't available, this is who we'd pick. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't want anyone else to play Beetlejuice. I don't want anyone else to direct it. And I think that's what makes it so tough too, is it's such a specifically Tim Burton thing. Like, Beetlejuice is so him, you know what I mean? And it's like, speaking of also Tim Burton, one of his first big movies, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, that's like anyone else besides Paul Rubens playing Pee-wee. You know what I mean? It's like, that's you just don't do that. It's
It's
sacrilegious. But that being said, like, yeah, if I had to pick in some weird alternate timeline, Joe List would be a crazy choice for Beetlejuice. As far as like Winona Ryder's character, man, I don't even know. Like, I can't even think.
Yeah, I can't.
And someone besides Tim Burton, what's the point? Like, Joel, even though he's dead, Joel Schumacher, you know?
Yeah, Joel Schumacher possibly, but that's just him taking over like he did with Batman. So
Exactly.
It's like, yeah.
As far as someone who's living, I don't know, a really dark, twisted Guillermo del Toro version with a funny writer to help him out, I don't freaking know. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, who else does practical effects like that? Peter Jackson, maybe?
Man, screw Peter Jackson.
I don't know.
I'm joking. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just such a specifically Tim Burton centric thing. It's, you can't even think of anyone else doing it besides he and Michael Keaton and the existing cast. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. But I loved it. I think it was genius. I hope we get more stuff from Tim Burton. I hope we get more stuff from Michael Keaton and Winona and Catherine O'Hara. And I love them all.
And Jenna Ortega, like, honestly, like,
she won me over.
She did win me over. I like her. I like her movies. I think she's a
good.
fantastic actress.
She's very good. Much respect to her, and I'm sorry for doubting her. She's great. Yeah. But yeah, any closing thoughts, guys, on Beetlejuice?
Kim?
Beetlejuice?
No? All right.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you're new here, be sure to be kind.
Rewind. And subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.
Beetlejuice. That's fun.
What are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think?